some of the stuff that I've been working on for a while now, right? I've been working on the Nextjs application that we have before us, right? And we have the home, which is the dashboard, which renders these values from our database, right? We have 18 invoices, we have 12 customers, and we also have revenue chart. Then we have the list of the latest invoice, and we can go to the invoice route that is which is nested inside your dashboard, and it's listing all the list of invoices that we have, the customers, the email, the amount, and the date, the status, and it allows us to, you know, there's pagination enabled here, which goes to page 2, right? It fetches from the database right there, and you can also go to page 3. And I think that when that is enabled, right, you can see that you can't go anymore, and we are able to search, right? You can search for Steph. This searching also implements a debounce, right? It's implemented debounce, and this fetching also searching also goes to the database to fetch some information. Then we have like the update, right? This allows us to update an existing, information, and it allows us to update an existing information, and you can change this to whether it is pending, or yeah, you can edit the invoice that way, and then we'll see that the invoice has been edited. And we also have what other features do we have? We have other interesting features that we have. We can this is the updating, and you can delete, right? We can delete. So I can delete this number one invoice here, right? I can delete this out of the way, and I think it works in a very cool way. And it deletes and it revalidates the whole thing, which is something very brilliant from the Next.js team there. It deletes, it revalidates instantly, almost instantly. And it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful to be able to see how all these things are possible within a React application. Also leveraging the server-side components, leveraging the power of actions, right? That is, actions is just coming to React version 19. It's also leveraging, rendering on the server to make some things faster. Now I was thinking that because React 14.2, sorry, Next 14.2 was released, I think some days ago. Yeah, we can as well just upgrade this whole thing to Next 14.2. It comes with the turbo pack, right? So, and what do we have? We can use turbo inside of this place. We can use the React Next Dev hyphen Turbo, and which completely uses Turbo Pack here. Turbo Pack is the Webpack equivalent or Evite equivalent that Next uses. They said they've integrated Lightning CSS as well. Lightning CSS is dope, right? If you're looking for something that is very amazing and powerful, right? This is like processes your CSS within 4.16 milliseconds right there. It's so much powerful. And I think also it has some crazy stuff, right? Allowing us to live in the future, right? We can use OK Lab colors, and when it transpiles down, it gives us this equivalent of whether it is the P3 color or the lab equivalent, right? And it allows you to just minify, gives us like a very good minified version of our gzip version there. It support nesting, right? Support nesting. I think it has inbuilt support for CSS model, and it also allows us um, to do some custom transformations if you want to do custom transformation there. So Lightning CSS is so very, very much another interesting thing that is coming to Next.js. So it means that their CSS will be processed a little bit more faster, right? And Next.js also brings in, it also says that like Next 14 is working for top 300 npm packages that uses Next.js there. So maybe my thought is that I should just um my thought is just like the app that we're currently working on, we should just upgrade it right away to use the version of don't say this to use the version of to use next 14.2. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, whether it's going to break our app or not, but it is using this here. So I could just change this down to 2.0 and let's see what goes on. 14.2.0, and we have this here, and we can go ahead to run the pnpm install. So this helps us to install the new packages that we just specified right there. My internet is also acting up. My internet is acting up. It's coming to I think for me, I feel like the Next.js team is not joking, right? I feel like they are seriously at work, right? And the major goal for them is, giving us React engineers ability to do different stuff. And I'm also thinking I should also try to check what Remix also have, and look at the speed and look at the stuffs they have in there. And but again, we have been following me for a while now. I'm just trying. The goal is just me trying to understand how Next.js work behind the scene. Just me personally trying to do all these things on my own. So we have improved error message. I think this is also coming with React 19. Right, you have this improved error tree instead of having this here. Then we can also, I think, yeah, you can also invalidate your cache by setting a time limit for your cache by default. And we also have inbuilt support for CSS model. I think they're even advising that if you're going to be writing global CSS, you should use CSS model. So I guess it's because they are using Lightning CSS inside, and because Lightning CSS supports CSS model out of the box, right? That's why they're advising everybody to just um to start using CSS model right out of the box there. So the major thing is, let's see whether the npm install is done. Yeah, npm install is almost done. So we upgraded to 14 point. Yeah, Next.js we're upgrading Next.js to 14.20, so that we are able to use all the rich features that Next.js offers here. Then I think I like this as well. That this is something I'm battling with at work. When if you import one icon from a particular package, it sort of like imports every of those things in your bundle. And to be honest, you don't need all those icons. You just need the one icon that you imported. So, but now I think they have this experimental feature that you can put out here and tell it that I only want. So if I import something from a React component and use only one component, I don't want you to bring everything. Just bundle only the thing that I'm using alongside with my project. And that's really another cool stuff, right? Because again, eventually when you write all these things with React and you bring in all these packages and you have to clean them up later on, it always becomes like a performance bottleneck, right? It becomes a performance bottleneck. So to start this now, they said we can use pnpm. We can use pnpm. We can use pnpm dev, and you can pass the flag of turbo. I think we can pass, I think, turbo. So this uses the turbo pack compiler behind the scene. Okay, it's not saying that. We'll just try this alone. So now we're using turbo pack to start our React. Our Nextjs app. I hope this is going to be really fast. So TurboPack, welcome to TurboPack. So if you want to know more about TurboPack is quite equivalent to something that we call Vite.js. Other than TurboPack is just like built for Next.js default, and I think is owned by the the Next.js team at the moment. I think they're the ones sponsoring them. So yeah, it helps us with bundling, right? Instant server, auto model reload, rich features, optimized build, and fully typed stuff. And so if you check Turbo Pack, which is the other version of Webpack. If you have used any form of Webpack before, right? We have Turbo Pack, which is very powerful there, right? Turbo Pack is, I think, majorly they're not ready for V. I don't think they've dropped their version 1 yet, but to be honest, they are doing amazing work behind the scene there. So this is Double Pack. If you want to know how it works, I don't know whether somebody has used Double Pack without using it with Next, but I know that they are just focused on Next. So you'll notice that I ran my PMPM dev with hyphen turbo, right? Because I want to use Turbo Pack today so that I can see how fast the things that Turbo Pack has inbuilt for us. So I'm going to go to localhost 3000, and I'm going to just see how fast this is. It's compiling on the server. It's compiling on the server. I think error evaluating Node.js code. So why do we always get this error evaluating on this? Fail to load external module, which is post CSS with that's interesting. I bet this is a Turbo Pack. This is because I moved to Turbo Pack. I bet it's because I moved to Turbo Pack. Yeah, I know that Turbo Pack does not support. It does not support the. Does not support .css. I know it only supports. The only support now is only CSS module. So I think I'm just going to backdate this back. Only URL with a scheme in file data is this on Windows. Absolute what must be. So this is something that I think I might just screenshot this in case I want to report this error later. Um, so what would I do with this? The only thing I can do is to bring back my version of my package.json. Right, just bring back my version 14.0. Yeah, my version 14.02, and I can npm install 14.0 npm install this. So I guess upgrading to V4 version 14, this did not work for me. I don't know why, but I mean, it's just what it's something I wanted to try out to see whether it was going to work or not. And so we have installed back our 14.02, and we can start our server 14.02. To see whether we can start 14.02 with this double pack. No. It's supposed to just the version is supposed to go back to next 14.02. Hmm. Hmm. So let's see. Still working. npm. I think I can do rm rf node modules, and I can delete the whole node modules folder. Yes, I think the whole thing is not working for me. So if you're just joining the stream, it's just me trying to upgrade the app to next 14 point 14.2. Let's see. Good evening, Bosse. How are you? Uh I hope you've rested at all. Have you rested at all? Because open folder, revealing finder. I can just delete my npm folder because I feel like the npm folder is compromised. The npm folder is compromised. What's the size? Huh? So our node modules is this big. That's the problem, right? When we are trying to use external packages like external project like Nextjs, the bloating in the node modules folder is huge. It's huge. That's around close to like 1 gig. Mhm. Okay. Thank you for just joining. All right. Thank you for joining. This is deep. This is beautiful. So today we're going to just try to finish. My goal is to finish this whole thing because it has stayed too long. We're starting from error handling, hard metadata, navigating between pages, static and dynamic rendering, hard search. I think you've added the search and pagination. So it's just about, I think, hard errors, improve accessibility, hard authentication, hard metadata, and then this. So let's just go to, I mean, the major thing with the error handling is that in the error handling section, you're going to be adding try and catch, and we are going to be setting up error.tsx, right? Just to help us to handle our error. So before you joined, I talked about Lightning CSS, and I talked about Next.js releasing the version 14.2. So you want us to check that out later on, right there. So part of part of what we have here would be that inside of, I think I can clear this, and inside of our project, this is the hub. If you go to our actions, we now have try and catch. Like you have, since it's an my internet is messing up. So we now have internet. Come on, my internet. That's interesting. My internet is acting up. All right. So if you can see my screen, you will notice that I've added this try and catch to just that portion of where we are making SQL operations. And this is to help us to handle the error. That is, if anything stops here, it will catch it and return the error to us in this format. And you can see that here we are returning an object of message, and you're passing the message. And so if we go to our page, I think if we go to our page, if we go to our page, inside of our page, we now have, I think it should be inside our invoices here. We now have we added the error.tsx? We've not added the error.tsx. But the first thing that we've done is we've added the try and catch to all of our code. Just that portion where we are doing the asynchronous operation, and we are returning the object that contains message. So message is a keyword right there that we're trying to return. Message is a keyword there that we're trying to return. So once we've done that, then we can now proceed further, right? So as I'm trying to proceed further, let me just try to do the npm install. I think um npm install. I can do npm install. So this will try to install the packages for me. Just give me a minute. Uh, so while we're waiting for that to come up, we can add the hero.tsx, right? We can add hero.tsx. So if we add error.tsx into our project, so it says that we can how to use error.tsx file to catch errors in your route segment and show a fallback UI. So then how to use not found and the not hyphen found. So what we can do is we want to create the error.tsx, right? Let's just copy this. So I'm just going to copy this and put this inside our, then you want to do pm. What version of Next was installed? No, I said it should install Next. Just install Next. Just for God's sake. pnpm install it. Oh God, my internet is messing up. I want to make sure that the version of the one that was installed is not here. I can create inside of our invoice here. I can create uh, um, my internet is terrible. So inside of my invoices, I can right click and create what errors.tsx, right? So I think error.tsx is also part of the default convention that our Nextjs also made available to us. So it's a use client, right? It's a use and it has this prop error and reset, right? And this is a TypeScript thing, right? You're adding digest to this error class here, and we are using use effect here to console.log the error, and this is going to be, so the idea of this will be the UI that will be rendered if there is an error. This will be the UI that will be rendered if there is an error. So I'm going to go to the actions that we have inside of the action where we have the delete. That portion where we have delete, the portion of where we have delete going on, where we have delete invoice. So I'm just going to new new error, and I'm going to say that cannot delete cannot delete invoice. I expect this to work. And so since we are throwing here on this line, so you see that our code is not going to reach this line anymore. Our code is not going to reach this line anymore. And anytime this action is called in our form, right? If our action is called inside of the form, it's going to now I'm not creating a SaaS. I'm just trying to learn how to use Next.js. Do you have something for me? Uh, And between, thanks for joining the stream. Anyways, right? Thanks for joining the stream. So let's try to start this up. So if we go to our local hosts, we should be able to see our project running on local hosts. Ready in 10 seconds. If you want to create a software as a service application there, I mean, you can always learn Next.js. Next.js is pretty much, it's getting popular, right? It's getting much popular, and it allows you to build fast with all these things baked inside of it. So we can go to the dashboard route and dashboard invoices route. So you want to learn, if you know some form of JavaScript or React, you can learn Next.js. So if we click on delete now, I want to know what's going to happen. If we click on delete. So we now have this error, cannot delete invoice here, because we are handling this inside of what? This is the error cannot delete here. So we need a better UI. I think we need a better UI to handle this. We need a better UI to handle this. So there are a few things. Then did it log? Did it log anything into the console? Data fetch. Okay, I think it logged to the console there, but it has not displayed this thing here. Database would have been, you can do your normal SQL database, but if you want to move fast, you can use your the non-SQL, right, which is your MongoDB or your DynamoDB, right? Any one of them should work. Any one of those two should work. So this error.tsx is not working. Error.tsx is not working. So inside your dashboard invoices, create folder, create. Yes, I have an Instagram. You can just search me by my name on Instagram. Right, you can just search me on Instagram by my name. And yeah, you should see me on Instagram. The error.tsx is not picking up. I don't know why it's not picking up. The error.tsx is not picking up. Is it errors or error.tsx? Okay, it should be error.tsx, I guess. So you can rename this to error.tsx. And can delete all this. Oh, okay. So it has something went wrong and tries again. So we have that beautiful error handling right there. have that beautiful error handling there. So our TSX is now rendered. Um, then if we check the server, if we check, okay, so since it is running in the browser, right? If we inspect this, we should see the console.log running here. So we should see the console.log, right? Error cannot delete invoice. So I think this is a very cool way to manage or handle your error handling in your Next.js. So another thing that there are a few things to notice here, right? Is a client component, to accept error and reset, and it works. So you can handle 404 with the not found function. For example, if you visit something like this and edit, this is a fake UID. So let's go here. Hmm. So if we visit this route, if we visit that route, what happens? It's going to try to fetch this high invoice from the database, but this invoice does not exist. So it's going to be an error. So we want it to be something that we can handle. So it says that immediately you see the error.tsx kicks in because this is a child inside of what the invoice is, where the TSX is defined. However, if you want it to be more specific and show a 404 error to tell the user the resources they've not found, so you can confirm that the resources haven't been found by going to fetch invoice. So if invoice is an empty array, you want to no, you can confirm that the resource hasn't been found. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks for joining the stream. All right. I really appreciate that. So how do I make this work to show a 404 page that is specific? You can confirm that the resources hasn't been found by going to your fetch invoice by ID function in the data.ts and log the invoice. Okay. Okay. So we can then undo the error by creating. So we're going to create a not found. So we're going to create a not found inside of the page.tsx. So we are importing inside our page.tsx. You want to import from Nextjs navigation, and we are importing not found. So when we import not found, then you want to go to if invoices is not found. Do we have anything like that here? Do we have anything like invoice here? So fetch invoice page, or maybe we can go inside a single invoice. If we go inside a single invoice, we can do that inside a single invoice. So you can paste this here, not found from Nextjs next, and so if not found, if not invoice. and you want to do something like this. You want to call it not found. So what this means is if this is not found, or implicitly type any because it does not have a type annotation and is referenced directly. So what can we do to this? Can we type this? I don't know whether we can type this. Is it because we are using it here? That's what is making it not to be typed. That's interesting. So because we are now using it here, TypeScript is throwing an error. Uh, so if you have edit invoices, then edit invoice here. You only want to edit invoice when invoice is found. You only want to edit invoice only when invoice is found. So we have this form here, right? You want to edit this only. So let's say invoice is now passed here. What happens? If invoice is not found here, what happens? If invoice is not found here, what happens? Let's see. Majorly what happens. So let's go here. We have the list of all the invoice, and this is the list of all the invoice that we have. We have so we want to create. We'll now throw an error if a specific invoice is not found. To show an error UI for the user, you can create a not found. So if we come back to this now, let's see. We can come to inside of this place, inside of the edit here, you can right click and do not found .tsx, and says that you can put this here. So you have the not found, and if we come into the this place now, okay, so the file for not found could not find the requested invoice. Could not find the requested invoice. So this is the UI that is being rendered. Fall for not found. Okay, so it is now picking the page specific. So it is now picking this specific not found, right? Because this ID that we're trying to look for does not exist. And then we can go back. And if you try to delete, it shows the general error, which is something went wrong right there. And we have the not found. So not found is, I think the thing about this error approach with Nextjs is that creating error.tsx, and that way error.tsx will handle all your error for you. And I think being able to also create a not found, right? So, and the not found is also going to be triggered inside of this form. So you're saying that inside of this page.tsx, so that if there is nothing like this invoice, you want it to call this not found page. So when using React Server component, this will set the status code to 404. When used in a custom app route, it will just send the 404 status. So this is setting our URL status code to 404, and I think it then calls this component to render, and that's why we can see our error there. And we're also linking back to this invoice with a go back. So I think that works beautifully there. And another thing that we can do, so for further reading on the error handling thing, then we can check this, how to handle error in Nextjs, or you can check the error, the not found. So we can check the reference to this API, and we can also check the not-found.js file that helps us to handle error there. And that is all about that. So to improve accessibility, we're going to bring in ESLint JSX accessibility right inside our Nextjs to implement accessibility best practice, and how to implement server-side form validation, and then how to use React use form state hook. So there's a hook in React called use form state React. See, is it inside React or Next.js? I don't even know which one has it there. I think it's React that has it. So that would have been, so there is use form state hook. So this hook is currently only available in React Canary, and the job is experimental. So it helps us to do what is a hook that allows you to update state based on the result of a form action. It helps us to update the state based on the result of a form action. What does that mean? What does that mean? It helps us to update, it helps us to update state based on the result of a form action. Okay, an example of an action is when we delete. This is an action here. So this delete, update, they are actions. And this create is an action. So immediately after we carried out a action, then we can set our state. That's what the use form state hook helps us to do. So how do we use it? You have use form state, you pass it a function, you pass it the initial state, and you pass it a optional farm link, right? And so it's supposed to be use form link at the top level of your component to create component state that is updated when a form action is invoked. You pass use form state an existing form action function as well as the initial state, and it returns a new action that you use in the form along with the latest what? Along with the latest state. The latest form state is also passed to the form. So if you use it like this, and you pass increment previous state to the form data. So if this form is going to submit, you need this increment to run. Form action increment will be called, and you're passing the default. No, this is cool. So after we call a action, a way to set the result of the state to be inside of this. This is cool. This is cool. Let's see how to implement something like that. So we can use ESLint in our Next.js as well to help us to lint. So we can come into this place, add this, right? We can add this ESLint check, and we can also install. We can also install the ESLint. I think we can install the ESLint. We can install the ESLint. So this is the package that we're going to install, right? This package helps us to lint our code. It helps us to lint our code. So to install this, we'll just copy this, and we can paste this right here, and we can put pnpm here. I think we can install it as a dev dependency. We can install it as a dev dependency. And if we install it as a dev dependency, we can then use it within our application. We can use it within our application. So it says that we should, yeah, definitely. If we remove this alt from the image and you run npm run lint, it's not going to run. So they ask us to run. We can run pnpm lint. So there should not be any error. And should not be any error. Then we can go inside of our table.tsx, right? Table. So we can remove, where's our image? Do we have any image here? So we can remove the hot here. And if we remove the hot there and we run, do we have ESLint installed? That's my concern. So you can see that there's already a warning in our IDE that the image element, right? The image element must have an hot prop, either with meaningful text or with an empty string for decorative images. So no need to disable ESLint rule. So we need this hot here. So that is ESLint catching the error before we get to prod. So you can improve accessibility. There are three things that we're already doing that improve accessibility of our form, right? Semantic HTML, using HTML element like input option instead of using div. These allow assistive technologies to focus the input and provide appropriate contextual information to the user, making the form easier to navigate. Then we can also include labeling, right, with what label and HTML4 for us to label properly. We can also ensure that each form field has a descriptive label to improve the assistive technologies. Then we can also add CSS, right, with focus outline. Fields are properly styled to show an outline when they are focused. This is critical for accessibility, as visually indicates that the active element on the page helps both keyboard and screen readers to users to understand where they are on the form, and they can verify by pressing tab. These practices lay good foundation for all of the things that we're going to be doing with our forms. And yeah, so I think basically we have all of these done. Then we can also do validation, right? Client-side validation by adding require, right? So inside of the create form, inside of the create form, inside of the create form, we can add input on the inputs here, on the inputs. So we can put required, right? So this is required. So this is a client-side validation that also improve accessibility right there. And we can also, so if we try to submit the form, it should not allow us to submit the form. Is it here? That works. Okay, so that must have been in the create, in the process of creating. Let's see this. So client-side validation is picking up, right? We cannot go without the client-side validation. So until we specify this. So if we want to add client-side validation, we can also add client-side validation to this, right? This edit input here. You should not be able to edit here with 0 thing here. So to have that, we want to edit form, and we want to come to the input here, and you also want to say this is required, right? And that way you cannot, we shouldn't be able to go, right? You shouldn't be able to go anymore until we specify exactly, right, whatever the amount is. And you can edit that now. It's going to submit the form. So Amy Burner is going to have 23,400 US dollar right there. So those are cool accessibility stuff. Then we can also add server-side validation. That is, by validating the form on the server, you can ensure that the data is the expected format before sending it, reduce the risk. And in our create form.tsx, import use form state from React DOM. And since use form state is a hook, you need to turn your form into a client component. So we can go to create form, turn this component to a client-side component, turn it into a client-side component, use client, and inside of this place, we want to import from import, right? React DOM, we want to import use form state. So if we import from use form state, then we want to call the use form state here. We want to call the use form state at the top there, and it gives us a dispatch. So you pass the action and you pass the initial state. What's the initial state? How do we get the initial state? How do we get initial state? How do we get initial state? Okay, so we can set our initial state and we can call this. Okay, so we set our initial state like this, and message is null, errors here, and we have this. Then we can call dispatch here, dispatch. And where are we going to use our state now? How are we going to use the state? I think we can console.log the state to see what goes on. So we can also put this inside of our action.ts, and we can do create invoice to take the previous state and the form data. So we want our create invoice that is coming from actions, create invoice that is coming from actions to, so let's just put this here. And we want this create invoice here to accept this here. So it is accepting the previous state and the form data. Before it was accepting only form data. So what do we want to do with the previous state? So we want to validate the previous state. Okay. So this will allow us to validate the previous state. That will allow us to validate the previous state. So same as before, previous state contains the state passed to the initial address. So you can, then you won't be using it in the action in this example, but it's required prop. I wish to console.log form data and previous state to see. Then you can change Zord pass function to save pass. Why? Save pass will return an object containing either a success or error field. This will help handle validation more gracefully without having to put the logic inside the try and catch before sending the information to your database. So if validated field dot success, then so if the form validation fails, then return error. So if the validation dot, I can take this. I could just take this. So what we now have now is going to be then prepare the data for insertion. Prepare the data for insertion. And okay. So inside of this place here, so we change this Zord. Where's the Zord dot? There is the Zord dot. So create invoice dot pass. So we can say create, just turn it to what? Save pass, right? Save pass. And this helps us to validate. And this returns validated. You can see that validated field. Let's just do this here. So we can see validated field here. So if this is successful, it skips this and comes here. Then we can now extract out, right? Can now extract this out from our, and then we can then insert, convert the amount to send and insert. So what basically we are doing now with Zord is that we are doing, this is the validation on the client side. Now on the server side, the first validation we did with required was on the validation on the client side with required, right? Now we're now doing a validation on the server side. That is, we want our server to check the data before it sends it to the database, whether it is correct. And so if it is not correct, we are returning all the errors that we have, and you are returning the missing field. And so how will it be sent to our UI? How will the error be sent to the UI? That's my concern. So let's display the error in our form component. So how will it be sent? So inside of our create form, We can now have area described by custom error. Okay, this is a prop area described by, and we now have this line for our error. So which describes state errors. Okay, so it's picking the errors from state. Wow, this is somehow complicated. So this is state.errors.customer ID. How does it know that it is customer ID? So inside of the create form there, we can then now use, inside of the select, you can pass this. I think it's inside of the select, you can pass area described by to describe the error, area described by to describe the error. And we have this div after the user icon. After the user icon. So this state.errors is pretty much coming. The state.errors is pretty much coming. Right click and format. This is format. Format with prettier. Why is it not formatting? Why is it not formatting? Oh. Let's check what we have. So if we refresh this whole thing and we go to create invoice, and so if we send this here, definitely it's going to fail. You want to create this here. Let's say you pass 23 and we click on create here. So this is the client side validation that is happening. Because if we inspect the HTML that we now have, so you can see this custom this custom error, and this error is received from our Zod. It's Zod that returns this error here, but then so let's say we put 14 here and you try to create. So this error is coming here. So that is our server side, an example of the server side validation that happens. And sorry, let's see what's going on here. So this is this div here. I think so. So this is the new thing I'm adding. It should be after this OD. Yeah. I think it should be. Format with TypeScript. So if we run into that again, say we pick the amount and we create this here. So let's say we pick KB bonds and we create this. So the set invoice is blocking something there. And how do we know that? Because we're not passing a value for the status. So I need to inspect and put some console.log in our code for us to be able to see. I want to clean out all the console.log also in our application console.log. Console.log. Then we have another console.log. We have another console.log here. So we have that would have been. So I want to console.log inside of our action, inside of the action. I want to console.log this validated field. So if we console.log the validated fields now, and we try to run this. So if we take this out, let's do this here, and we can create this. It's not picking this error. It's not picking the error. It's not picking the error. Why is the console not picking the errors? It's not picking the error at all. Okay. It is logging on the server. So it is logging on the server and validated fields dot message, validated fields dot error. That's what I need. So validated fields dot error. Validated fields dot error. So if we try to fill the form again, yeah, I've forgotten that it is server component. So if we do this, client side validation picks it, and then we have create invoice and server validation picks now. So server, the server validation picks when, so it is expecting pending or paid, received null. So if we want it to display that error message as well inside of this, because it is only showing, it's only showing it's only showing two things. It's only showing two errors. Just it's only showing one error basically, which is, so we need to add another one. So here it is, the customer ID, errors.customer ID key based on the name of the form. Okay. So if we want to add for this input here, the error would have been to handle for that. Immediately after the select, we have, okay. So this is this is the status. So inside of that status, set invoice status. So below, after the set invoice status, when the input is done, this is when the input is done. And inside of this place, we will then get some state, which is going to be page status error. So here we can just handle the error there, and this is going to be we can console.log. We can console.log based on the name of the input. What's the name of the input? Yeah, state.status. So we can say error dot, just console.log this state.error.status, and Control Shift P. We can wrap with console.log. Wrap with console.log. I hope this is going to work. Inspect. Okay. So now is logging the array of the error message. So I need to pick, the first thing I need to pick there is the first item inside of that place. So that would have been, okay, so if we pick this here, and it's just going to be this here. So expect pending or paid received null. So we then want to create a UI that looks like this. Let's just copy this UI. Let's copy this UI. And I believe that we can give it a area described by, we can give this a area described by on the input. So we can say that what area described by to describe the status error. And when we are done with the status error, we can put a div inside of this place that has, let's just copy the whole thing that we had earlier from this place. No. So we want to put this there, and we can change this to I think we call this status error. Status error. The status error, and this will now be status. So this is going to be status, and should be good to go now. Format document, TypeScript, and we should have something now. Okay, that's not the right place, but at least it's showing the error. So it's supposed to be outside of the entire thing. So so we can also put so in this code, the describe by is the name of the error, right? The ID is the error, and the area live polite. The screen reader should politely notify the user that there is an error. Wow, I didn't know that there was this area live. So this is what the output should be, right? And then we can copy something from here. So the major thing here would be we need to if I want to implement for these as well, I can implement for this outside of the label when we are done here, and we can always paste this here, and this is going to be status error, and this is going to be status, and this should be here. And so for this one as well, we need an area described by status error, and if we need another error on the amount, that would have been area described by. So we can comment this out and use area described by amount error, and outside the amount error we can paste the whole amount error there. Yeah, so that is all of the error formatting that we have there, and we can format the code, and if we save this now, we should be able to have something similar to this. Unexpected token form. What do you mean? Did we bust? What did we bust? What did we do? I think I am not closing a particular D. Let's just take this out. Let's take this out. I think so. Everything is still fine up to this point. We've added the status here, and we will save this here. Let's see. Cannot have something of undefined. So the server is busting our bubbles. So let's just do this. Take this out. Take this out. And let's see. Should go back to what we have. So if we have this here, it is still inside of this place. So I need it to be outside. I think it should work. Yeah. Sorry about that. I think we should have proper error formatting. Does it look like what it should look like? Okay, so we can take it out of that place entirely, and we can take it one more step. I think this should work. No, this should work. And so we need one more error for this here to handle the error for amount here. So that would have been to handle for amount. We want area, right? Which is area described by to be amount error. Then outside of that, this is the label. We want it to be outside of the input. So outside of the input, then we want to paste this. So we can paste this here, and this is going to be this is now going to be amount error, and this will now be, I think this should be amount now. Should be amount, and we should have proper error validation now for The validation for the amount is not picking. The validation for the amount is not picking up. So, so to pick this, also we can pick, I think we have the missing fields. We can pick the main thing, which is we have move to the Windows area. We have this here. So we are only returning two errors, which is the validating for each one of them. So are we not validating inside of this action create? It's not validating for uh, it's not validating for this amount here. It's not validating for the amounts. And I don't know why. I think I can debug that later to know why the validation is not picking for. Okay, I think I know why. I know why. If we go to the create form and this here, should it be this initial thing here? Should it be this initial state here? Mm, wow. Mm, I really can't pick where the error is coming from. Or should we state dot just console.log console.log state console.log state. In the action we have create invoice. This is difficult to debug. This is very difficult to debug. Very difficult to debug. So this should be state. We change this to just state. Okay. I think so. We have an object here. And it contains error, and we have error for customer ID, and we have error for check the name of your field. Yes, I think the state in itself now, Dominic, thank you for joining. The state in itself now, the use state form is not returning amount here. There should be amount here, if I'm correct. Right? There should be some amount inside of this place. So it means that the ZOD validation that is happening inside of this action is not validating this amount. I think the ZOD validation here is omitting the ID. Let's see. Even though I think I want to believe that ZOD, based on what we have here, should validate this amount. I can wrap console.log create invoice to see what I have there. With inside of section. So create dot invoice dot. I think should it be shape? Should that be shape? Let's just do Zod. The type of yeah, Dominic, can hear you. Is that a right pronunciation of your name? Amount is supposed to be coerced to a number, right? Amount is supposed to be coerced to a number. But definitely, when it comes from form data, it's going to be a string. It's supposed to be a string when it's coming from form data. So what I can do is here to console.log this, right? I can console.log this to see console.log. So I guess the Zod is not validating that. That's the only thing I can think of there. Let's just comment out. I can comment out this. Yeah. So if log here, if we console.log, let's assume that I pass a full value, a working value, and I pass something like this to this. Does it go ahead to work? So I want to see the data. So this is it here. It's 3000. But I think that I can just put a type of. I can put a type of on it here. Console.log, the type of. It's supposed to be a string, right? I think, what do you think, Dominic? It should be a string in there. It should be a string. You create invoice. Should be a string. Form data should be a string. Yeah, the form data should be a string. So it is coming back as a string. Then the code where we have Zod dot, where we have the Zod dot, where's the actions now? Where we have this Zod dot coerce. Let me check. What is the dot coerce to number doing? So I can see that the Zerd dot coerce dot number. What does it do? Better still. Convert this string to a number before giving it to Zod. Okay, okay. So convert it to a number before giving it to Zod. So that would mean that I want to, or can't I pass, just like this suggests, can I pass a Zod dot number dot pass? So let me just do that based on what you said. I think so. I could just put the number and put the number here. And if I try this now, so it's still not catching the error though. Still not catching it there. Still not catching it there. I think there's a problem even after converting it. Okay, so what I want to do is this. Let's take this out here. I think I can duplicate this. And okay, this is interesting. Let's see, bonds past this amount here, and we have this here. Can pass this. Hmm. So it wouldn't still catch it. So are you still there, Dominic? After converting the number, Zod still doesn't. The validation does not catch. This validation does not catch. Uh, hmm, validation does not catch it there. Yeah. I did that. I did that with the number constructor, but Zod is still not catching it. I did that with the number constructor right here. So I'm just thinking, what does the coerce method in Zod does? I think that's the concern for me. What does the coerce method does in Zod? So if you do numbers, or so you want to do coerce. Can I search through these dots? Coerce. Coerce. So it now provides a more convenient way to coerce primitive. Hmm. So schema dot. Um, that's interesting. I've done that. It's not working. I have done that. It's not working. Okay. I think I still have to do it here. Do I have to do it here? Uh, so let us still let me do. So if I check here, I think it might work now. It might work now. It should work now. How are you doing? What just happened? Cannot update. Uh, what just happened? Can I pass a dot pass here? Dot pass. Because that's what the documentation says. Okay, this doesn't work. This wouldn't work. Well, this is interesting. I don't know why this is not beginning. This is supposed to convert this. Let me try this out. I think we can try it out. Yeah, it's still not catching the error there. So I am sure that it is this line, right? This line here, Zod is not validating this amount for some reasons. So even if this amount is coming back as string, I am validating back with the number constructor, right? I'm validating back with the number constructor. And if I'm validating back to the number constructor, okay, another thing I can do is to be sure that that works, I can do a console.log and I can paste everything that I have here. And I'm supposed to have my console. And so if I try to fill this form here, the particular amount there, paste this, create this. I guess majorly because I don't know so much about how the validation of Zod works. That's why I can't fix this now, right? But this is converting the amount to number, and except if there is something that is missing here. And if I check the documentation one more time, if I'm not able to, so when we have how coerce works is this. During the passing step, the input is passed through this. And so if we pass the coerce dot number, right, we're trying to convert even using Zod to numbers. But it means that I think I know what might be happening. Inside of this form, this input might be sending 0 as the default value. I think it's sending 0. Yeah, I think it might be sending something that is a default value. So when it's sending that default value, we are not able to. So it's most likely trying to send some default. Is it running on the client? It's running on the client. Can I take this into my browser? Can I take this into a browser tab? Localhost 30. This is what's interesting. And I want to go to the dashboard. Dashboard, invoices, dashboard invoices, I think. And if we click on this here, we have this here. So we can inspect this. I should be able to pick this with errors. So if I pick this with the React component there, am I able to touch? Are we able to get the form? And are we able to get so if we're able to get the form, no, we want oops I try to get this this is other. So I'm trying to debug this input. So if I try to let's just use normal JavaScript here to debug the input. Console, then we are able to do console.this and then input.value. Input.value. The default is empty string. So if I pass it, say I pass it 3,300. What is the input.value? String 300. If we convert number of empty string, what happens? Number of empty string is coerced to 0. So I guess this is the reason why Zod is not catching it. Because empty string is the default value for this type amount. How can it be empty string when the type is number? If the type is number, why should it be empty string? If it's empty string. So when Zod tries to coerce it, Zod coerces it to be 0, and Zod cannot, and Zod can never catch 0. So the only way for me to work around that is to tell Zod, right? Look for a way to tell Zod that it is greater than 0, right? So I can now say it must be greater than 0 with my Zod validation in there. And I think that should work. So I can say dot number dot greater than must always be greater than 0 at all times. And if I try to fill this form now, Zod should catch this now. Zod should catch this now. Still not catching it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? I got it to work. I got it to work. Oh my god. That was some debugging. So I'm able to just, I think I was able to really fix that by setting it. So the error the error I got now is number must be greater than 0. Wow, I'm really tired after that debugging experience. JS is really weird. How do you set the, but there should be better way to fix that bug. Because can somebody's amount on their invoice be 0? I don't know. But I mean, it's worth knowing. I need to really get more into Zod. I've not used Zod before, into like using Zod for validation. But I think I like the error message though. I like the error message from Zod. The error message is beautiful here. And so anytime we try to create, it validates. And all right, I think I'm tired. I need to call it a day. I need to rest. Dominic, are you on Twitter? And are you a developer? And you're from which country? That's like how many questions? 3 questions for only you. Uh, it's nice to have you on the stream. How did you get to know about the stream? How did you get to know about the stream? MDR. Which country is MDR? Is that your country or your MDR? Is there a country called MDR? MDR country. Okay. Okay, you're French and front-end developer. Okay, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Okay, okay. Wow. Thanks for joining. Okay, okay. Really? Thanks for joining the stream. If you're on Twitter, you can drop me your Twitter username, or what do we call it again? Yeah, you can drop me your Twitter username and I can add you on Twitter and we can talk more. For my folks that are used to the stream already, Hadiremi, Bosse, if you are still here, thanks for joining the stream. It's a big one today. and I'm going to pick up from this on the next stream. The next stream should be Saturday, next week Saturday. So I'm just going to finish up on this year. I'm going to finish up on this, and we can move to chapter 15, which is adding authentication. Do you use Nextjs, Dominic? Do you use Nextjs? Um, so we're going to be using. Did you use Nextjs before? Mm. So we have. All right. It's not a lie. I'm not on Twitter. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you for real? How come? But I mean, it's nice to catch up with you. Thanks for joining this stream, and thanks for your help today. Right, your guidance was helpful. Your guidance was helpful there, and yeah, I've been teaching for a while now. I've been teaching for like for the past few hours. So I will come back. So I do these streams on Fridays and Saturdays if you're interested to join, right? And I stream to like LinkedIn, I stream to YouTube, and I stream to Twitter. So you're welcome to always join me. And it's nice to meet you, right? So nice to meet you. I gotta go. Thank you so much.